going again in the cabinet. The gluing that I did in the last video, if everything's dry, everything I think worked out quite nicely, so I'm quite happy with the progress so far. Wish it was a little faster, but hey, it is what it is. We've also made a few decisions that maybe it's time I can let you guys know about. I had a rough idea, a pretty good rough idea of how this cabinet was going to go together when I started building it. But all the details weren't finalized. So it was a pretty simple cabinet to start with. It's a defined length. The bathroom is, we can't change that. Height is defined, depth is defined. Even the divider in the cabinet has to be kind of where it is. So, you know, we're going to have 3 drawers here and 2 drawers here. But my wife was quite concerned with the sink area of the cabinet. The way it works out, our sink will not be centered in here. It'll be a little over. So Sheila, doing some research on the internet, came up with the idea that we're going to have 2 drawers in the bottom here, and what they're going to look like for height will depend exactly where the plumbing is going to go. So when I build these drawers, I'll have to know how the plumbing is going to go. But also, she would like to have basically a slide-out shelf, but a drawer, if you know what I mean. So a drawer that's built and then just slides out on one rail. So I think I could find hardware to do that. That shouldn't be too bad. And I think that's all going to work. So that's going to be good. Like I said, 3 drawers here, 2 bigger ones at the bottom and 2 little slide outs at the top. And I think that's going to be what we're going to do. One other thing I could maybe point out to you, maybe a bit early, but the slides we're going to use are these Blum undermount slides. I've never used them, but I really like the way they work because I've seen them on various YouTube channels, and I had a couple of students use them last year when we were building cabinetry in the school shop. They seem like a really, really nice piece of hardware. They're certainly not cheap, but if they're good, they're worth it. And then the hinges on the doors will just be standard Blum soft close. No, nothing fancy there. So we've got a few decisions made, enough that we're going to be able to keep rolling along. I have my Baltic birch for the drawers ready, so I think I have everything. Now it's just a matter of keeping on putting things together. Okay, so for today, what we're going to do is we're going to glue all the edging on. Now, this type of oak edging, any veneer edge like this, usually there's adhesive applied. You just heat it up and away you go. That works great. But I've got some problems with this. I just want something, I think, a little tougher than this. So we're going to go with a solid oak edge, not this thick, obviously. I've allowed for a 1/4 inch. So we're going to glue that on, cut it into 1/4 inch pieces, glue it on, and then I think it will be good and tough. Now, for some of it, I might have to put a few brad nails in. I really wish I had a pin nailer. That would be much better. But I don't think down, and this is the one I'm going to have to nail a little bit. I don't think that's going to be a big problem. Okay? So, I took the liberty off camera of sizing these to their perfect, well, they're pretty much perfect dimensions. And they're still over 3/4 of an inch thick. Yep, that one goes up there. So I'm going to rip them in half with my bandsaw, and then I'm going to go to the thickness sander and sand them down to a 1/4 inch. So that's what we're going to do today. And okay, so with that in mind, what I'll do is I'll meet you at the bandsaw. All right, I I'm at the bandsaw here getting ready to resaw these little strips. Here, one of the pet peeves I have about the bandsaw is people having a lot of throat open here and making little cuts. And here I'm going to do the same thing. I have the saw set up for resawing, you know, big things like guitar backs and sides, which I haven't done yet in here, but that's going to happen. Skateboard veneer and things like that. So that's what it's designed for. And unfortunately, I have a lot of exposed blade here, but for today, we're gonna cut that way. So really, what I'm going to do is just split this in half. It really isn't that fussy that it's perfectly in half, because we're going to sand it to a 1/4 inch, but that's good right there. And of course, wouldn't be making this cut without my trusty push sticks. Very, very important piece of safety equipment. Okay, so we're going to turn the machine on. We're at the thickness sander. These pieces, they're about 3/8 now. We're going to sand them down to a 1/4. Off camera, actually this was a couple of days ago, I sanded some down to a 1/4 as like the narrow ones. So I'm going to sand the thicker ones first, and as they get to be the same, the last pass, we're going to send everything through at the same height. That means that the thickness will be perfect. If they're a scooch more or less than a 1/4 inch, that is not going to matter. But once I'm taking off a little bit of material from all of them, they'll all be the same thickness. But we'll start with the thicker ones first. A couple of things to mention here before we get started. You should in no way run your thickness sander without dust collection. This is gonna get ugly. Luckily, there isn't that much to do, but this isn't good. You can see I played a little bit. There's all kinds of dust. The other thing you can tell, I got a cord hanging here. As I've mentioned before, the problem is I need to get some work done in this shop before the shop is really ready to be worked in. So I am compromising a bit and improvising, hopefully not compromising safety. But things are not, and I know they're not the way they should be. So if there is somebody out there that's prepared to comment about what I'm doing is a heinous that dusty part is over. Yeah, don't ever do that. That was dumb. One thing I did forget about that we're going to do next is I need to put a little bit of this oak edge tape on. I flipped this cabinet upside down, and the edge tape is going to go on the bottom edge of the top framework. So yeah, that might be, won't really be seen, but that way I can finish it a little nicer. It's smooth, so there won't be any issues. So this is just iron-on edge tape, and I've taken the liberty of practicing with this one, so we're just going to put this on. Make sure we get it evenly spaced. And like I said, this is not a big deal. I'm just getting the plies covered here. Is it important? Probably not. But it contributes to the overall finish of the cabinet, so. It looks like I cut that just a whisker too long. Ah, there, good, it slid. It slid underneath, that's awesome. Okay. This stuff actually works pretty good. I've seen edges, oak edges like this last decades. Like they just hang on. I'm not being particularly careful. I think I have the iron a little bit too hot. And trimming it, I couldn't find my trimmer. But I don't know if I like it that much anyway, and I grew up doing it with a utility knife. But the one thing that is super important with, I've found anyway, with a natural wood edging is you really need to go with the grain when you're trimming it. And that grain actually changes in this piece. And I have it just hung over just a scooch here because I like to trim just a little bit off the theoretical face side here. There. And the back side is where all the trimming is going to happen. If you go with the grain or against the grain, you can have it pop off, and that's ugly. That needs to get stuck down a bit more. This is working out quite well. And we're going to need to sand it when I'm done. Okay, we're getting to the end here. Okay, I think that's good enough for the knife. I'm going to hit it with sandpaper. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to sand it just a little bit off camera because I didn't get my sandpaper ready here, and I'm not going to bore you walking around the shop looking for it. But then we're going to flip this cabinet over, and then I'm going to apply the oak that we sanded. Okay, we'll be back in a bit. All right, the cabinet's flipped over again. Here's where I put that iron-on edging on, and it just smoothens things up a little bit, which I think will be nice in the finished product. Are you going to see it? Probably not, but just because you don't see it sometimes doesn't mean it doesn't need to be finished well. Okay, so the next thing that's going to happen, I'm going to put on the uprights first, and then the horizontals. So it could be done either way. I think this is just for looks. So and I measured already, and everything's set up to make a cut on my sliding compound miter saw. And the measurement we're looking for is all of them to 26 and 13/16. And I have that marked there. Much better. All right, so what I'm going to do is I am going to find my glue. Hey, that even rhymes. Okay, this one is a little bit particular because I want this to be flush on the inside and it's going to hang over. This is the finished edge, so it's going to hang over there by about 1/8. So what I don't want is squeeze out on this side. Okay, so we're going to apply some glue, mostly on the inside, but we're going to wipe it out. Now, when laminating doors and things, tabletops and stuff like that, I was always taught to bond glue to glue. So that's what I'm going to do here. Normally a brush would be nice, but your pinky works as well. Just like to get a thin coat of glue over the whole thing. And then we'll do the same thing here. Maybe I can get you to see there. Yeah, that's the right way. Just double checking. Then it'll squeeze out towards the edge, I would think a little bit. Yeah, I should have a cloth for this, and I don't. Don't want to set it in there. I have cloths over here. Okay, so this thing has a bow to it, and you notice that's what I'm checking constantly here. Okay. That would do right about there. If I had a pin nailer, I think I'd just tack it on with that, but I don't. I need to invest in one. Is that going to tack up enough to, okay, and of course it lands with the glue down. Okay, I need to be a little bit more coordinated here. I might have to put in one brad just to hold it while I glue it. I may not have a choice here. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'll keep it nice and high. I'll keep it nice and high so that it's not seen. Like I said, a pin nailer would be great. Yeah, that's nice. That's perfect. Gotta cover that edge. That's a fairly 18-gauge brad. That's a fairly big nail. Oh well. Oh well. These clamps they're called Grip brand name. They're in my opinion, they're not a high quality clamp, really. They're not bad, but I wonder if a 2-foot one would work. Oh yeah, look at that. I'll put it with 2-footers. I didn't think the 2-footers would work. I think the Irwins are better personally, just a personal opinion. But I have lots of these. Oops. because they're relatively inexpensive. That's why I have these clamps. For the few times I use a clamp like this, to me, they're good enough. Are they the best? No, but they're good enough. And that's a phrase I don't like much, the whole good enough thing, but sometimes that's just the way it is. You have no other choice. They're working pretty good. Put one more on here yet. Oh, that's not quite right. I'm going to move that over a little bit. There we go. That's better. Okay, now I'm just gonna, I wish I had a razor blade here. I don't have one. I'm just gonna take off the glue. Well, maybe I won't. We'll sand that off later. There we go. That's a nice, nice edge. Really faces things nicely. I just have a wee hint of squeeze out on the back here. There's one little piece there and a little bit up here. Best to deal with that now because that's going to be seen. And I think I got it all. Now the good thing about this is I'm not staining this. There wouldn't be the blotch if you missed a little bit of glue. Okay, so that's that one on. Now this one I should be able to hopefully clamp is important. Okay, this goes on like that. Yeah, that's good. Actually, what I'm going to do, just to make sure, we got everything the way it should be. Oh yeah, that is down a little bit. I wonder why. Well, that explains that. Then I'm going to slide that up a little bit. Not sure why that happened. That's perfect. Okay, let's glue it up. Again, I should keep my brad nailer handy. We may end up doing that. And yeah, all this oak has a little bit of a curve on it. This one I'm going to try to keep the glue a little bit more to the middle, and just go to the edges with a really, really light coat, because I don't want a lot of squeeze out. Now that's going to be a little bit too much, but I also like to put glue on the other surface. I just think it's important. It gives it a little better grip, I think. There's all kinds of theory when it comes to gluing and how things are done the best, and I've learned from some old timers like European trained carpenters, and they have a little different view of gluing things. So, and I've copied some of the things that I've heard from them. Okay. Let's see if we can get this on. Sorry, back to the camera. I promise I'll get better at this. There we go. That isn't going to grab quite as good as I'd like it to. Clamping pressure is more on the left side. It's leaving the right side a bit open. Well, we may have to find a way to deal with that yet, but I'm gonna glue this on. This is working out perfectly. Boy, I wish I could get that right side as tight. I think I'm gonna maybe, I hate to do this, but I don't think I have a choice on this side. I'm just gonna, the drawer face will hide this. Okay, I guess that's gonna have to do it. It's not quite the way I'd like it, but that's gonna be the way it is. So, okay, I've got one more very similar to put on that side. And I think I'm gonna do that off camera because once you've seen this, you've seen this. And I'll bring you back when we're putting some verticals, or sorry, some horizontals on, okay? Okay, well, welcome back. Basically I left these two here. These are just cut to fit, they're not glued on yet. We'll show you that. Just this brief explanation of what I did. You saw me glue the sides on. They seem to be doing quite well. I think I'm okay with it. The bottom, I've got to do a little bit of planing or scraping. It's a little high. I wanted to keep everything even on the bottom, and you know, this is, I like to be fussy, and that's a good thing, I think. I had to put brad nails in there. I had no way to clamp it. I actually considered using contact cement for all of this, but I don't know, when it comes to shear holding power, I like yellow glue. It works really well. But to its credit, so does contact cement. But anyway, that's on now. It's no big deal. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these two pieces on. I told you I'd bring you back for the uprights or for the horizontal pieces, and that's what we're going to do now. So these, I believe I have enough clamps here for everything. I had to get my 1-foot clamps out, which they're a little long, but they'll work. Bottle upside down. There we go. Trying to keep glue off of things that you don't want glue on is really important. Now, I am not staining this. I know that oak has kind of gone out of style. My wife watches people that post things on Facebook and, you know, things that date your house, and oak always seems to come up. Well, you know what? I don't care. I like the look of oak. I think it's a good finishing wood, and yeah, maybe it's a little more 80s, but Hey, the 80s were good. What can I say? Okay, let's try the big toms here. Slide that in. Come on, let's go. Yeah, that's gonna fit beautifully. Yeah, it pulls a little bit. And then you gotta watch it, you don't hook yourself. I should have turned those around. Because they are kind of a little bit of a danger. Oh yeah, that's the sweet spot right there. Yeah, I have a little bit too much glue on there, and when I clamp, it wants to slide. So I'm gonna throw 3 clamps on there because I have them. There we go. Like I said, you know, these grip brand name clamps, take that clamp off. Whew, for a second. My goodness. There, that's perfect. Now where did my clamp go? There it is. Okay, I think that's looking quite good. Just gonna wipe a little bit of I'm gonna give this a light sand probably tomorrow. I won't get the toe kick on today. I want to take a bunch of clamps off so I can roll this thing around. There it is. Okay, another thing I need to admit to you guys, I do get a bit nervous when on video. That's not too bad, but it's like you're all watching me and critiquing what I do. And I guess it's been a few months since I've been in the classroom, so, but I got used to the kids. I would get a little bit nervous when adults would come in, but boy, I put way too much glue on there. I should maybe focus on what I'm doing instead of talking. Okay, well, we're gonna put a little bit on here. I was told that the idea of gluing both sides is you want to get the glue to soak in to this wood. And that's why I'm spreading this out quite thin, because I want this to sink into the pores. Hey, East German woodworker can't be wrong, eh? Okay. Okay, that's gonna be good right there. That's nice and tight. Okay, the clamps that I have, make sure everything's even. A little bit too much glue on there. And the plywood doesn't soak up the glue quite like the natural wood does, in my opinion. But what do I know? Okay, that looks really good. I can live with that. Oops, I'm gonna go the other way. I don't want to take an eye out on that thing. The nice thing about all of this, the thickness of all these oak pieces, when you sand everything or plane anything, one point I always try to make is when you're getting ready to do the finishing, make sure everything runs through. That way it's all exactly the same, and that has worked out here beautifully. I'm excited about this. I think it's going to look awesome when I get it. When I get the clamps off it tomorrow. Okay. I've got a little bit of glue. I don't know if you can see that on camera. When I watch other people's videos on YouTube, I realize I don't have a ways to go yet, but it'll come. I'm hoping that you guys will be along for the ride. Okay, that looks... This up here really doesn't matter much. Got to make a call to a friend of mine in Calgary, sorry, Edmonton, for some countertop yet too. So, Daniel, if you're watching, we're going to talk. There, I think that's it. Okay, well, I'm a wee bit disappointed that I had to brad nail on the face. I don't like doing that. But I didn't see I had a real choice here. So I just did it, and we'll fill the holes as best we can. The nice thing about that is all those holes are really low. Like, nobody will get down on their face, basically, and look at this, so it'll be okay. There's another nail up here, but the countertop's going to cover, and people don't look under that way, so it's going to be fine. But like I say, I always try to do my best work. Sometimes I think they're shortcomings, and other times it's okay, but I'm usually my own worst critic, and sometimes I need to build it and then not look at it for a few months, and then all of a sudden, oh man, that looks good. So you kind of forget where you had issues, and you realize that the issues you had, every project has issues, but in the end they were insignificant. So I think that is as far as I'll get today. All right, well, it's a new day in the shop. Today we're going to put the 1/8" oak onto the toe kick, and that's the last thing to do. Yesterday evening I came back to check on the shop like I usually do, and I just took the clamps off the oak edging then, and I'm quite happy with the way things worked out. Had a couple places where I got it over the plywood a little bit, and I wanted it flush, so I just grabbed a router with flush trim bit in it, and off camera this morning just cleaned those up a bit. So the oak edging needs to be sanded yet, but I don't think I'm going to show you that in this video, because it's sanding. It's like this. So that's easy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire up the table saw. The fence is already set for 4 inches, and the sheet of 1/8" oak is behind me. So I'm going to turn the saw on, grab the sheet, and make the cut. All right, here we go. Okay, not quite as smooth as I would have liked to have seen, but the cut looks decent. Yeah, that's going to be good. Okay, so we're going to take this over to the sliding compound miter saw, cut it to length, and then I'm going to stick it on. Okay, we're at the sliding compound miter saw, and I've got a mark made. And we're just going to take and line it up quickly and make a cut. Okay, that should do it. And we'll bring you around to the cabinet and we'll finish it off. Okay, well the strip is ripped and cut to length, and since I've already shown you some contact cement application, I went ahead and spread the glue off camera. I did it exactly like I did when I put the gable end piece on, so you didn't really miss anything there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab this and I'm going to stick it on. I'm not going to put anything underneath it like I did last time because it is a much smaller piece, and since I have a hard edge to go to, there we go. That'll do. Okay, so that's it. We'll put finish on. We'll get all that done yet in upcoming episodes. But I think now I need to tip this over, see if I can get around my plug-ins there. Come on. Ooh, that's off the edge. That could have been bad. Okay, let's get this off there. And we've got a little bit of sawdust here from routing. But hopefully you won't see that. But I know it's still hard to see the contrast of the oak, because with no finish on it does look very similar tone to the birch that's around it. But so yeah, the edging is on. Things are, you know, I think the case is now done except for finishing. I'm not exactly sure where I'll go next. I'll think about that over the weekend while I have people turning in my shop. Theoretically, it could go one of two ways. Oh, you know what? It should only go one way. I should build the drawers next, because that way, when it comes to finishing everything, I can finish everything at once. So that might be what happens, or I might finish. Who knows what's going to happen? I guess you'll have to come back and find out. So, in closing today, all of you who have subscribed, thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. I'm hoping things are getting a little better. I'm doing a little more complicated videos now, a little bit more, not hugely. I'm editing in about an evening, so far it's working. I'm learning how to do things a little bit better. Things are coming slowly. It would sure help if you would subscribe. That would be wonderful. Share your thoughts with me. That'd be great. And tell your woodworking friends. There will be probably a fill-in, I'll call them fill-in videos. They're really not, but something where I'm not working on this cabinet. So change things up a little bit every now and then and give you something else to look at. Another thing I need to mention before I sign off today is I realize in this video there are some things that kind of are a bit of a safety concern. For example, running my thickness sander with no dust collection, I mean, that's a definitely do not do thing. However, I need to get this done for our renovation, and I don't have time to get everything set up the way it should be. Is putting dust collection in the shop, centralized dust collection, is that in my plans? Definitely. I have almost everything to do it already. So that's going to happen. Just like the air compressor lines are going to happen. The electrical has started to happen. I've got some drop cords, and I'm going to talk to my electrician buddy again this weekend and make a plan for that. I think I may have changed my mind again about a few things. So with surface wiring, you can do that. So that's been a real good thing that I did that. but it's coming slowly. So yes, I wouldn't condone working in a shop like I did. And the video does not do that justice. Oh my goodness, the shop the air was dusty. I put the dust collector, or not the dust collector, my air filter on, and it does a good job of scrubbing the air, but it takes a while. And as I look up at the filter now, I can see that it's done its job. It was a brand new filter before that video. So, yeah, like, subscribe, please help me grow this channel. And yeah, we'll continue to provide you with the best woodworking and turning content that I can. Thank you very much.